We are hearing from the Madison County Sheriff tonight for the first time since he and his deputies raided a house and found more than half a dozen dogs dead. We first brought you this story in March when Stephen Gossmayer was arrested for animal cruelty. NBC4's Kyle Beachy was the first to report this story. He has the latest from the sheriff.
Gossmayer was being paid to train some of these dogs that ended up dead, and court records show that he's accused of forging documents and faking his credibility in order to train and board these dogs.
I've been on a lot of animal calls throughout my career here at Madison County, and by far this was probably the worst location I've been at when it comes to the the living conditions of these animals.
This home in rural Madison County is where Sheriff John Swaney says they found the bodies of 9 dead dogs.
The house was just it was horrible living conditions. You know, I'm kind of heartbroken to see the condition that some of these dogs were living in. They would just leave them lay. They would put them in a bag and leave them lay.
The home has signs of dogs everywhere. Empty cages lie on the ground next to piles of trash. Sheriff Swaney brought in a forensic veterinarian to help determine how all these dogs died and whether it was humane.
We were able to determine on some of the deaths that we feel starvation was the cause of the death of the animal.
Did they appear that they'd been deceased for a long time, some of them?
Yes, some of them had been, they were petrified. You know, they'd been deceased for some time. You know, when you looked at some of the animal cages that these animals were kept in, you know, you can see that the cages were ate on, chewed on. You know, that's normally common, you know, that you see in dogs that are hungry.
Some of the dogs were chipped, so authorities have notified the owners. Deputies also found 7 dogs barely alive.
They're hungry. You know, they obviously malnourished. Living conditions they were living in were horrible, and we were able to take those animals and get them placed in our humane society.
Once rehabilitated, those dogs may be up for adoption if owners can't be tracked down. Along with those dogs, deputies found a dead bearded dragon and another lizard that was alive but didn't survive.
We did not find any evidence of you know, dog fighting or anything.
I requested body camera footage from the sheriff's office from the search of the home, but Sheriff Swaney tells me they don't wear body cameras, so we won't get a look inside the home. Gossmayer is being held on $25,000 bond, and he's due in court on April 28th. Local for you in Madison County, I'm Kyle Beachy, NBC4.